Yeah, Brother K. This will be part three. Basically, what it is I've had these solutions since '06. I remember, back on the radio show when I was telling folks about how they better prepare for something, and I think it was '06 or '07. And I said, credit default swaps, and you might want to prepare for some rocky roads. Well, basically, what it is when you have a solution, sometimes it's not necessarily about the timing. The thing is I always equate it to this: you can put a solution out there, but it's like you say you cook a steak or you cook a good meal, and you've got potatoes and you got everything else. It's an excellent meal, clean, everything else. Sometimes folks will still prefer to go to McDonald's and not eat what's in front of them. I always say that the simplest thing is the hardest thing to accomplish, because it's very simple, but it gets complicated in the process. Or even better yet, the most evident thing is the thing we close our eyes to, which is always in front of our face, right in front of our face. And it's not all of us, and it's not all the time, but more often than not, the simplest thing, or the thing that's easiest to accomplish, or the most evident solution, is the one that's right in front of everyone's eyes. And so that's what, back in '06, and maybe even back in '05, that I had known that there was going to be some rough road ahead economically. The thing is, right now, in the shape of and I'm going to say the global economy, because unfortunately a lot of folks don't realize that the entire world is connected. They think that they might have their own established economy, but the bottom line is, in one shape or one form of another, your economy is going to be connected one way or another to someone else. Unless you live on the moon, outer space, somewhere else, it's going to be connected. It's just the nature of the game. Okay, it's like a cold. One person gets it and they might be immune. The next person might be immune, but he's still got the germs. So the thing is the globe is actually sitting at a very perilous point, or I should say at a tipping point, or at a very it's at I won't say a crossroads, but it's at a particular point where they could either cure. Let's put it this way: one might have a solution, and this may be the solution or a solution. It might be that remedy, but the thing is that might be the only remedy. Okay, this how can I say this? There is a solution out there, one solution. They have one chance to either apply it, or the economic cold might have to run its course. The thing that folks must realize is this economic cold is more like economic bird flu. Okay, it's economic smallpox. And it's a remedy that might have to be applied. Otherwise, know the foregone conclusion after that. So, anyways, let me get to part of the solution. This is about the sandbox. What kind of it's not a helicopter, it's something. Okay, so once upon a time you had a sandbox. You had this little sandbox right here, and you had four. Let's put some sand in there. Some sand. Look at all that sand. Okay, and you had sandbox. You had four pirate mothers, and these mothers were like, we're talking the ultimate pirates. They couldn't get together without stopping to compete with each other. They were just like, real catty. They were constantly, backbiting, and that's just the nature of the game. And these pirate mothers had pirate kids. They had pirate children. And so what these pirate mothers did is the pirate mothers said, you know what? We know we like to compete, and we know who we are, but we're just going to let you guys out, and we're going to put the pirate children in the sandbox. So the pirate mother said, okay, kids, you go off and play in the sandbox and play nice. You do what I told you, and you just go back out there, and you just play with little Johnny Joe and play with, so, the little pirate kids are going into the sandbox. Oops. Let's see, let's do this. The thing is the nature of the mothers of the children is not too unlike the nature of the mothers. They're catty, they fight, they're competitive, you name it. That's just the nature of, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So, the pirate children grow up. Pirate children are now in college. Let's do this. And they decide, hey, we're going to buy a house. We're going to rent a house together, and not buy one, but we're going to rent a house. And, let's do this, make it easier on myself. So let's draw the house. You have to excuse, again, my drawing by way of trackpad is not the easiest thing. Without, so this is the house. It's like a little frat house or something. So pirate children decided, hey, we're going to rent this, go to college, and so they're all hanging out. These pirate children, keep in mind, or I should say pirate teenagers now, or college students, are now, they're sitting there, they're like, and keep in mind, they come from a lineage of competition. That's all. They come from a lineage of dog eat dog, killer be killed, zero sum. Okay, their mothers had it instilled in them even in the days of the sandbox. There's times when the parties get so rowdy they'd have to call the police. Because that's just the nature of the pirate children. They grew up in the pirate sandbox. So, but they're so fiercely competitive. So, pirate children become older and older, and someone comes up with the bright idea of saying, you know what, pirate children, now they're pirate adults. Now let's go ahead and do this, get rid of that. These pirate children are now grown. Okay. And someone comes up with a bright idea. I mean, this is a stellar idea. And said, you know what, in order to compete, because, we're so used to competing, and it's dog eat dog, and there are other children out there that are, that might have their own sandbox, or, they grew up in their own sandbox, that are somewhere out that we might have to compete with. They might have grown in a sandbox that, may have natural resources. They might have grown up in a sandbox that has intellectual resource, very smart children, and now they have their own sandbox, some other land, who knows. But these pirate children said, keep in mind the nature of where they grew. They said, let's do this. This will keep us from killing each other, because we know we're fiercely competitive. Now, keep in mind, these are pirate adults now. They grew up. They said, let's form a common bond. But this bond will be only based on one thing, because we can't trust each other's, the only thing we know is as long as we, we'll base it on this one thing. As long as we have this little thing right here, we know that no one, it's kind of like a blood oath. No one will back out. This is the only thing we're going to base everything we do on. We're going to base it on this. So they didn't have any other type of union or unity. All they cared about was, we want to make sure this resource that we have right here is everything we do is going to be based upon this. So basically what happens is these pirate children, and I'll show you what that is. That represents, okay, just make this a little simpler. That represents this right here. I know you can see what I'm drawing, but we'll just do that anyways. This right here is what it represents. These pirate children said, we will base everything we do upon that, i.e. money. We don't care about, we won't have any laws or anything else. All we know, oops. Oh yeah, okay, no, that's good. Let's do that. Sorry, again, like I said, it's just kind of difficult drawing through trackpad. So here we go. So they based all their allegiance, or I mean all their alliance, to that right there. Now, the rules of the game they really didn't care about unless it affected that. Everything that they did, keep in mind, all these children do is compete. That's all they know is how to compete against one another. And I mean, they, like I said, fiercely, zero sum. They'll even kill each other. They'll go to war. They don't care. You know, that's how they have a lineage of mothers who are like that. They go back to fierce competition. You know, they were catty at the Tupperware parties. You know what I mean? Even if folks ever did that, you know, I mean, or do that anymore. But they, you know, it's that nature. That's what they come from. They come from fathers that you know, they were so fierce that the fathers would be at the bar. There was always a fight. Somebody had to compete because they're very competitive. Okay, dog eat dog, zero sum game. You know, it's just the nature of what these guys now grew up in. But somebody had the bright idea of creating something. They said, this will keep you guys together. This will keep you all fed. This will keep you, you know. Well, what happened was some of them, you know, and keep in mind, since they're so competitive, they're not going to tell each other the truth. They're going to, you think that this, this guy right here is going to, let me do this right. Okay, you think this guy right here is going to tell this guy right here the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? No, they're fierce competitors. You know, he'll be like, he'll do everything. You think this guy right here is going to tell let me see, that this guy right here is going to tell this guy right here that Goldman Sachs didn't give him a certain, or didn't mess him up with the yen, with Japanese bonds or yen derivatives, so he can, you know, show everybody that he can actually pay a loan. You know, I mean, come on. You know, these guys are competitive. They're not going to tell each other the truth. They're going to do everything they can to, you know, to help themselves. They're going to look at the nature of the parents they grew up with. You know, that's just the way they grew up. But whoever came up with this big, bright idea that they can all swear allegiance to that one thing right there, and they can all do trade, and, you know, they said from now on, we're all, you know, everything's based upon that. And no matter whatever happens, whatever, if this goes up or down, we all do or die. We're all in it together. Sure. Yeah, right. Pirates always fall out. Okay? Is the nature of the game. So literally, after someone came out with that bright idea, all of a sudden, let's just do this one more time. All of a sudden, this thing started to erode. This started to erode, and it's starting to disappear. And it's starting to not hold the same value. Or people are starting to question its existence. Or anything. Problems started happening. Now the thing is, remember, they held the whole basis of what they're doing right now, of all those kids, those pirate children, was based upon that right there. What do you think is the outcome if that thing erodes? Will they start fighting again? I mean, history has proven that that's what they, you know, what they normally do. Will they, you know, start going and making alliances with other enemies of, you know, of their former comrades? You know, one kid might be an enemy of someone else, or a friend with someone else who's an enemy of the entire pirate collective. You know, pirates, they will look out for themselves. But here's the funny thing. There's a solution. When this thing started to erode, because of the nature of their competitiveness, you know, the fact that all they can do is, you know, they're like I said, dog eat dog, do or die, you know, kill or be killed nature. Because when this started to erode, oops, let's make that green again. What had happened as it eroded? Let's do that. Little thing that they all had allegiance to. They had a way to figure it out so they can remain competitive, because remember, that's their nature. But they can make it an incentive. And we're not talking about, okay, well, in order for you to borrow, you have to do this. In order for you to borrow, there's a way that they could do it. They can continue with their competitive nature. They could also make alliances with those that are not part of that pirate collective. There's ways that they can, you know, because right now these pirate children are telling each other, let me just do this. They're telling each other, this guy's going, hey man, oops, let me do this, sorry. This guy's he's saying, look man, he's talking to this guy right here, and they're pointing to this guy going, hey, don't trust him. And he's telling these guys, he's telling his friends, hey, don't trust this guy down here who's telling his friends. Yeah. He's telling his buddies, hey man, these guys over here don't trust, who are telling everyone else who's telling his buddies, don't trust these guys over here. Yeah. Because of the erosion of that one little thing that kind of kept them together. That one little mechanism that had them all kind of close to each other. But there's a solution to where, because keep in mind, you have pirate children that don't trust, that are highly competitive, that, you know, have proven themselves that they bicker, and they, you know, who only had one mechanism to keep themselves together. Not only throughout when they were in the sandbox, but even when they had the house. Keep in mind, they were in the sandbox fighting, they were college kids in the house fighting, they grew up and had that one little thing trying to hold them together, they're still fighting. Now they're at a tipping point where they can't trust themselves. I mean, this guy's already, you know what he did? This dude right here pointed to everybody else and says, you know what, don't trust this guy right next to me. And he's telling everyone else, don't trust it. I mean, this is literally where they're at right there. But there is a solution, and there's a way to profit on the solution. But it's not going to come from anyone that's within the pirate's mechanism. And the funny thing is, only one guy is going to be able to, or I should say someone else outside is going to figure it out. And someone else has already started to figure it out. They've got the solution to the pirate kids' problem. The funny thing is they're talking to each other now. See if you can figure out the solution.